Hi, I'm Eloy, and this is Escagedo Woodworking. In this episode, we're going to make a box chest for my comic books. So it was 1984, and the movies out were Ghostbusters, Beverly Hills Cop, Gremlins, The Karate Kid, and Romancing the Stone. The music, the albums out, were Van Halen's 1984, Bon Jovi, Fistful of Metal by Anthrax, Run DMC, and Rats Out of the Cellar. It was the year that the Metro Rail began operation, and Miami Vice was on TV for the first time. I was 9 years old back then. Sweetwater was a relatively small city on the edge of the Everglades. In those days, traffic was not congested. Kids of the day would play ball in the street, skateboard, ride their bikes without a problem. In fact, on the weekends, people would ride their horses down the street. I remember my folks calling me outside to watch them gallop by my house. It was in those days that I would explore the streets on bike, sometimes with friends and sometimes on my own. I was riding bike on Flagler Street and around 112th, I want to say. There was a 7-Eleven there. I remember stopping in and coming across a comic book rack. I saw a Flash comic book and some others. I'm not sure, but I think that they were G.I. Joe and Daredevil, so I bought those with some change I had. It was the beginning of my love of comic books. As the years went by, my collection got really extensive. There was a comic book store on Bird Road in front of Tropical Park. It was called Sunshine Comics. My father would drive me on Sundays, and I would pick up the latest issues. Most of the time, he would sit and wait for me in the car listening to talk radio and smoking cigarettes. I had a small tight band of friends in those days, and we all collected and also played D&D. Those were great times to be a kid. Now, as the years went by, boys get interested in other things like girls, and as I grew, the comics stayed in their plastic bags and backing boards. I reached for those comics less and less. I also went from reading comics to books. In my 20s, I moved to LA. I took the precaution of wrapping my comics in large bags. My father had me store them in the shed outside. They had bags and boards, plus they were wrapped in trash bags. I thought that that would be fine. So when I returned from LA, there had been a massive tropical storm. There was flooding in Sweetwater. In fact, the flooding was so bad, it entered many homes there, my home included. The water reached the furniture inside and soaked up onto the drywall. It was a disaster. And my comics in the shed outside, they were ruined. I managed to save a few comics out of nostalgia, but hundreds of books were gone. It was a great loss. A few years back, I had an accident on the bandsaw. I cut the tip of my middle finger off. I was working too hard and was way too tired. It was terrible. I took the piece of finger with me to the doctor and he reattached it. It took about 6 months, I believe, but it actually healed. I have a small dent on the top side of my finger. Can't really tell, other than I have no feeling in it. It was during this time that I started collecting comics again. I could not work because of the injury, and I happened on a new comic store that opened up on 107th Avenue and Southwest 8th Street. It's called Porca Comics. All this coincided with the Marvel Comics event, Secret Wars. So collecting, again, eased the depression over my injury and got me thinking about the old days as well. I've recovered from the accident and I'm back woodworking, creating pieces for clients, and have revisited some wonderful memories too. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Escagedo Woodworking. Like and subscribe.